Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Monday, time for a brand new episode of Benchwarmers. I am your host, Benjamin. What is up, Flashfire? I almost screwed up on not changing the header. It was still left over from recap of last week. My bad on that one. So now you guys got an assessment as far as like what the show is going to be about. And of course, it's going to be about hockey. It's going to be about basketball, playoffs, baby, and some other stuff too that happened. So official Tony, what's going on? Um, and my name is Eric. What's up? Cy Cuevas. What up, dude? Holla. Anyway, so Lulu, what is up? Everybody's piling in all of a sudden. My apologies for not having a show last week. I was actually in Arizona with Austin. We were doing some marketing meetings and stuff like that, basically plotting out how the next year is going to look. As far as events, as far as cool stuff that we're going to do, etc., etc. Gallery 017, his Vader D-backs is on the way. Great start to the week. Fuck yeah, bro. I love that. Shady G, or just Shady G, sorry. What's up? Sith Jar Jar 863. What's going on? And Ben Ver, Mace writes, what is up? Man, packed house tonight. Super Mario, what is up? Sorry, didn't hit on the only hope. To which case I should probably point out, because I think there was an excess stock dropped on the website earlier. This is something that hasn't happened in a couple years, where somebody forgot to turn off something on the website. So I don't think those hats were actually available. I think it was like Padres and Mariners that dropped. So if you get an order cancellation for that, that's the reason why. They weren't actually available. They somehow got accidentally oversold, obviously 2 days later. More details to come on that. It's not Luis. What is going on? And for anybody who didn't hit, I'm sorry. I actually took the day off. I was up in Rohnert Park. I went to the Grattan Casino with my wife because, we're gambling addicts, etc. No, actually, there was something else that was going on up there, and we just happened to be up there. So it's just like, yeah. But ended up watching Game 7, or at least the majority of Game 7 of the Maple Leafs and Bruins playoff game. I'll go into more detail about that in a sec. But anyway, I am pissed at the end result of that game. What a fucking nightmare that was. It's not Luis says, my friendly bet is looking good with you so far. It is actually. Oh my God. Anyway, as we always start every week, it is Knicks Pacers tonight. That's why I'm doing the show an hour early, because usually I do this at 4:30. But I got my array of Pacer jerseys lined up in the background. Pacers and Knickerbockers tip off at 4:30 Pacific time. So right around the time I'm wrapping the show up, I definitely want to be able to catch that, because this hasn't happened since 2013, the 2012-2013 season more specifically. I'll go into more detail about that in a little bit. But anyway, yes, Flashfire, a distinctly themed background there. Exactly. Elk Dot, what's up, dude? As I always start the show. Oh, wait, it's Luis says Pacers in 6 is not a prediction, but a spoiler. I like the sound of that. And Elk Dot says Knicks in 7. Actually, he says 7,777. I don't think they go that many games. But we'll see. As I always start the show each week, my New Jersey pickups. Most of these came in last week, with the exception of one that, or actually two, sorry, specifically came in on Saturday. So the timing on this was kind of perfect. First one up says number 2 on the front, Charlotte Hornets, of course, but it's blank on the back. I needed one more blank Charlotte Hornets jersey to kind of work with old players who never got a jersey made for them. So this is going to come in handy. This one's definitely going to Marlin up north. Awesome. Just got to figure out who that last guy is going to be that I'm going to add to my collection, because I've already got like 6 or 7 other Charlotte Hornet blanks that I need to send up to him. So like I said, I needed one more. I'm kind of thinking Ricky Davis, because like somehow I've got a bunch of Cleveland Cavaliers and, like I said, a bunch of Charlotte Hornets ones. I want a Ricky Davis jersey, to be honest. So we'll see what can happen with that. And Elk Dot says one of the best colorway in hoops. I agree. And I am ever thankful that Michael Jordan Company changed the name from the Bobcats back to the Hornets after, of course, the Hornets relocated to New Orleans and then became the Pelicans. And so they got the legal right to do so. Smart move, smart branding right there. Probably the best thing that Jordan has done as a businessman in the NBA. everything else was an absolute miss by him. But anyway, speaking of Larry Johnson and the Charlotte Hornets, I didn't necessarily need this, but I picked it up anyway because it's one I didn't have in my collection. But more specifically, because they made two different versions. They did this one with the L Johnson on the back, and they did one with just Johnson on the back because I had to do with another player who was on the team whose last name was Johnson. So bagged this one. This was like $20. So it's like had to do it. Same with the teal one I just showed off a second ago that I'm gonna, basically turn into something else. Like $20 a pop. Why not? I feel like I showed this one off the last time I did the show, but I don't remember. Um Los Angeles Lakers, Eddie Jones, number 6, more specifically in purple. I've had his yellow ones ever since I was in like junior high and high school. So number 6 and 25. So had to pick up the number 6. Still need to track down a number 25. But the one thing I can tell you in regard to Laker jerseys on the market, if it's a purple one, it's not easy to find and you're not going to get it for cheap. This one I got for like $50, which is like a fucking steal. Um, Actually, it might have been $40. No, it was $40. It was $40. It was like $6 for shipping. So grand total came out to like $50. So absolute steal right here. A little bit of cracking on the front. I don't care. Still gonna wear the shit out of it. And then the two that came in on Saturday, these of course came from a buddy of mine up in Renton, Washington. 206 throwbacks, I think is his username. He's on eBay, he's on Instagram. Follow him if you're looking for like really rare shit. Um, this one I got for 60, just because it has a little bit of damage to it. But the NBA at 50, all gold, Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls. This one's in a double X. It was funny because he had a size 48, which is my normal size, but he was selling that one for like $200. And I was just like, dude, I don't care about the condition. I just need the jersey because I'm trying to collect all the old gold ones. So me getting a double X and the fact that he had a poster for $100 and he's like, I'll give it to you for 60. I'm like, score. Let's fucking do it, baby. So snag this one. But this last one is the one I really wanted. And my wife's at work, thank God, so she can't hear this. I paid $300 for this jersey. Um, and I ain't mad about it because the fact that one, it's stupidly rare, two, incredibly hard to find. And I'm not spending that much on just some random jersey. Like it's got to be something like super special, something I can't find anywhere. She will find out somehow. I agree. But she usually doesn't ask the price like when I pull it out of the closet and wear it. So thank God for that. But Toronto Raptors, number 34. No, this is not Hakeem Olajuwon. This is actually Charles Oakley. I had come across a size 44 from another shop like a couple months ago, and I was keeping my eye on it just for the sake of having it. But yeah, this is in like damn near flawless condition. And so $300 plus the guy gave me a steal for $60 on that gold Jordan jersey. You weigh out the averages there, 180 between the two, and it's just like I ain't mad about it. That's actually kind of a bargain there. So at some point in the not too distant future, I'm definitely gonna bust this bad boy out. But oh my god, so glad I have it. There was another auction that ended yesterday. I got it for less than my max bid, which is a huge score. Hopefully that ships out here in the next 24 hours because I mean I paid it immediately, so that should mean that it should go out pretty soon. But hopefully I'll have that for next Monday. I don't want to spoil what it is, but it's definitely one I've been trying to track down ever since I was a kid. And more specifically, it's the last piece of one particular team that I didn't have. And so now I'm completely done with another team. Um, I got to go through and double check to see which teams I'm actually like completely blanked out on. I think the New Jersey Nets, I'm like really close. Um, oh my god, what are the ones I'm done with? I want to say no, Milwaukee Bucks. I still need the number 20 Sam Cassell. Yellow Lakers. I've got one to go. I've got one more black Clippers. A couple teams I'm done with, but yeah. I'll have the full list ready to go for next Monday. Spurs is kind of an interesting one because there's no formal list that I've been able to find, but I know for a fact there's like 3 players that I don't have, and I've only come across 2 of them recently in my size. One is a Steve Kerr, and the other is a Terry Porter. And there was a dude who was selling both of them on back-to-back days for like stupidly cheap. And I know the guy who bought them because I've sold him jerseys and I've bought jerseys from him. He lives in New York. But he's selling the Steve Kerr for like $300. And I know for a fact he bought it for like 120. And it's like, I'm not paying that price, bro. Um, but we'll see if I break down and decide to lowball them or something like that. I've got a spreadsheet ready to go. I took all the photos of what I have, except for like maybe the last couple months where the jerseys I picked up. So I definitely need to put this together and figure out something with that. Brother Bishop, what is up? I tuned in at the perfect time. T.O. represent Ben. T.O. pop up already, man. I know. And then the other one is a Dale Ellis. Dale Ellis, I've only seen in like size 40 and size 36. I've yet to see one in a 44, 48, or 52. So we'll see what happens there. Flow Gods, what is up? He says, might need to send a vintage Pacers hat. Is it a fitted one? That's the question. Because I'm not against snapbacks or anything like that, but I generally only wear fitteds. And I do have a bunch of Pacer fitteds. They're actually in a duffel bag under my bed right now. I should probably bust one out on account of the fact that it's game time tonight. Yeah, I'm wearing a Stockton Ports hat right now, but that just had to do with the fact that I went to the Ports game on Friday, to which case, great game, except for the fact the Ports lost by 1 run, despite being down by as much as 6 runs. But they've tacked on 5 in like the 6th inning, thanks to a bases loaded, wild pitch on strike 3. That brought in a run, and then the next batter hit a grand slam. It was incredible, but they still end up losing. So Logan Herrera says, what up, what up? Definitely sounds like a Monday show. And tell me, and show and tell with the spreadsheet. Sorry. I will do that. I will put that together. I promise, guys. It might take me a little bit longer than I want to. Maybe not next week, but the week after, hopefully. Especially on account of the fact that I got to go to Los Angeles Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll be back home on Friday. So my wife is working all weekend, so I might actually have time to put it together, but I need to, because I took all the photos because I want to add photos and dates of when I picked everything up, because I actually have all that shit memorized. Hard to believe. I've been collecting for how long has it been? Since 1995. So 29 years, and I can like actually vividly remember every single jersey that I ever bought. For the most part, how much I paid. But like if I got it in person, when it was brand new, if I got on eBay, Poshmark, etc., all that shit I got memorized. Best of AZ, did I watch the Brady roast? I will go into that here in 1 sec. Because first I'm going to lead off with the Sport of Kings, the Kentucky Derby. The 150th Kentucky Derby was run this weekend. And Mystic Dan, a 13-1, not necessarily a long shot, but not necessarily a favorite either, took the win with a photo finish. First time in a while that we've actually had a photo finish like this close. And thankfully, none of the horses had to be put down after the race. That's always a good sign. But yeah, I didn't watch it. I particularly don't really care about horse racing or the Kentucky Derby or anything like that. But it was a big sporting event that happened this weekend, and so I felt the need. I got to talk about it. But more specifically, the reason why I want to talk about it is because there's a baseball connection to this weekend's Kentucky Derby, and it has to do with that. 2000, former Washington National, former Baltimore Oriole, Toronto Blue Jay, LA Dodger, one of my favorite players of all time, Jason Worth. I froze. I still got all the green bars. Don't tell me I froze. I was going on a good rant right there. Are we good? Are we good before I continue? Please tell me I'm not frozen right now. Okay, just okay. So anyway, I'll start off this whole spiel again. So one of my favorite players of all time, former outfielder, 2008 World Series champion, should have been the 2008 World Series MVP for the Philadelphia Phillies, played for the Washington Nationals, played for the Baltimore Orioles. Beard is a bit looking luscious, a nice blonde hue. Still going along with that, but he had a horse in the race this weekend. Dornoch, Dornoch, so a very German name of Dornoch. And there we go again. Oh, you got to be kidding me. God damn it. Anyway, so Jason Worth had a horse this weekend, Dornick. So yeah, that was kind of the highlight of it. But his outfit, Jason Worth, Jason Worth, uh, outfit was incredible. So just had to point that out. So yeah, there was a bit of a baseball connection within there. Jason Kelsey was there. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were there. Astonishing outfit. Yeah, that's Jason Worth, baby. That is Jason Worth. Anyway, Best of AZ asked, did I it's on Twitter, as I think most people did, using wait, hold on. It's not Louis says, what would your fit be, Ben? You know, that's a good question. I'm more of a navy blue suit man myself. Oh, I've got yellow bars now, not green, so I feel like I'm cutting out. Please tell me I'm not cutting out. Please tell me I'm not frozen. My God, this is not happening. Anyway, navy blue suit, so nice, navy slacks, a blazer. And I got it last couple of years just because, nothing against, tying a Windsor or a cross stitch or anything like that. Ah, Christ, I'm in the gulag. I'm in purgatory right now. This blows. Ugh. Everything was going so great up until this moment. So anyway, if I was going to rock a suit for the Kentucky Derby, straight navy blue, slacks, blazer, shirt to go with it, maybe it's got to be just straight navy blue. The hat is really more the tougher part of that because got to wear something that's a full brim all the way around. It was working until we saw Brady, of course. Brady ruins everything. But anyway, so that's about what I would rock. In regard to the roast of Tom Brady, there were some highlights in it. It always lags out when I show photos. I know. I don't know what the hell is causing it or why it happens. And I've been trying to fix it for forever. And it's not necessarily Comcast, but at the same time, it's Comcast. So Cy Cueva says, need to rock a vintage Indy Pacers NBA reference Oral Roberts alum Haywood Workman jersey for tonight's game one. That's a good call. I need to get one made. Actually, I am getting one made is the funnier part. I just haven't sent it up to Marlon to get it made. Southside Steven Searight says, not watching a roast without Norm. That is a very valid point because if Norm McDonald was still with us, God rest his soul, that man would have had some absolute zingers. And some of the jokes, went over pretty well. There was a surprising amount of people who were absolutely fearless in their discussions about Aaron Hernandez and how much of a murderer he is, which is kind of a weird thing to joke about because at the end of the day, the man still murdered people. But Bill Belichick was a good sport about everything. Rob Gronkowski took a lot of heat. There, of course, was that moment when Jeffrey Ross was up talking about Robert Kraft and massages. Tom Brady wasn't having any of that, which was kind of strange because it was literally just one joke. Then I felt like Jeff Ross was about to move on to something else. But, overall, like I said, it had some funny moments to it for at least all the highlights and stuff that I got put together. But I did not watch the whole thing. I'm sure it was decent. But Tom Brady, good sport for doing that. And especially considering the booing that Kim Kardashian got, which was very welcomed. and how she couldn't get a word in. But then again, it's like she can't tell jokes anyway. She had to read the whole thing off a teleprompter, which was pathetic to begin with. Um, but just how much everybody laid into Tom Brady in regard to his divorce from Giselle was really dropped the bag hard on that one. So she was a good roast. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch the whole thing again. But I kind of stand with Steven Seaver on this one. The fact that Norm Macdonald it wasn't here with us to, lead or throw some insults in there. It's kind of a sad moment. And I felt like it would have been really good. It's not Luis says she getting that Dom Mysterio heat. Yeah, but at the same time, in the back end, everybody loves Dom Mysterio, not so much on Kim Kardashian. So anyway, moving on into the NFL draft, which of course, Austin and I did a live for that one. That pick number 8 by the Atlanta Falcons in regard to Michael Penix Jr. out of the University of Washington being taken. When of course they already took Kirk Cousins in free agency for his 200 plus however hundreds of millions of dollars that contract was. And yeah, he's coming back from Achilles surgery, etc. But my God, what the hell were you guys thinking? I mean, I could have sworn Desmond Ritter is still there. I don't feel like they've necessarily moved on from him completely because he's good. Like, let him work and run the playbook a little bit and, learn the offense a little bit better, especially under a new coaching staff. But my God, what an absolute waste. Flashfire says, ready for the Broncos as your second team. I don't know, man. That's kind of a weird situation just because the fact that I always have hated the color orange. Um, but going more specifically to that, I'll go to the next slide because, of course, Bo Nix being taken with the 12th overall pick, going to be the new starting quarterback, most likely for the Denver Broncos. In the 4th round, they picked up Troy Franklin, who, for whatever fucking reason, that man, a projected first round pick, dropped that far down. So now the fact that Bo Nix is going to have one of his favorite targets in Denver with him, not to mention, not drafted, but picked up as a training camp invite, Camden Lewis, field goal kicker out of Oregon. So I think I might have to, I'll observe the Broncos from a distance. Oh, Ritter's on the Cardinals. Thank you. Thank you. I knew I've had a feeling he ended up somewhere else. It's not always says Falcons going to need to draft Penix's successor next year. I kind of agree with that. And yes, the Falcons definitely screwed the Raiders on that because I feel like if Penix would have gone that much lower, the Raiders probably would have picked them up. So, but Camden Lewis, man, Denver Bronco, just like Troy Franklin and Bo Nix. I love to see it. A lot of other Oregon players were definitely picked up in the later round, more specifically the 4th round, to which case Bucky Irving going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love to see it. The only bad part is number 0, which is what he wore at Oregon, is already taken. So I don't know, maybe you can work a transactional deal out with Yada Diabu for that number. At the same time, you could say number 1 because it could look like an I for Irving. But where Chad White wears number 1, so it looks like Bucky Irving is going to be wearing number 7, to which case, not bad. Shaq Barrett wore number 7 last year, but as far as a running back, the last person to wear that was Leonard Fournette, Super Bowl champion. So, luck might be on Bucky's side on this one, but either way, as long as he fully makes the team, I might have to get myself a Bucky Irving Tampa Bay Buccaneers in creamsicle jersey. So we'll see what happens with that. Anyway, moving on into the Tampa Bay Rays City Connect, which I'm curious what your guys' opinion on this, because my opinion on this is the best goddamn City Connect that I have seen. And yes, I am fully aware of the fact that the numbers and the letters, fade into the jersey. You can't really see what's going on. But at the end of the day, that's not really the point because the colors pop. The hat is absolutely gorgeous, and especially using the multicolored under visor. So not too bad. Not to mention the details of the St. Pete's Bridge there, or the trying to remember the actual name of it. It's the Sun something Sundial Bridge. Somebody help me out. Being used within the logo of the actual Devil Ray there. Um, I agree. Flashfire says we need DJ Kitty on a hat. I kind of agree with that. I feel like that was the only thing that was missing, but the overall highlight of it, of course, comes into the form of let me go back to it, the Devil Ray on a goddamn skateboard. I love that shit. Um, it's incredible. And the fact that the Rays have been on a 3-game winning streak ever since unveiling in their next series, which I believe starts to it's not Luis says the potential colorways y'all can cook up. Oh, John and Justin and probably gonna be working on some amazing stuff with these logos. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm probably gonna scoop one up just because they're badass. Um, Unfortunately, on the opposite end of the spectrum is the goddamn Detroit Tigers. This was unveiled today. This is going to be the Detroit Tigers City Connect, and my God, it is pathetic. Um, it's a lot like Phillies, which is not that great either. But at the same time, it's also borderline like the Cubs with the Wrigleyville, borderline like the Dodgers and the barrenness of empty that is. So some teams get it, some teams don't. I will say the Chicago White Sox, obviously the Tampa Bay Rays, they get it. Pittsburgh's, I like the color scheme on it, but I feel like overall it's pretty bland. Who else has got some good ones? So Flashfire says so many ways they could have used old auto fonts and they did this. I agree. Dude, they could have gone like a full RoboCop fucking thing with this uniform and it would have been sick. But the fact that you've got the full Detroit spelled on your hat is strange as hell. Brew Crew, I agree. Thank you, Steven. Theirs were great. Brother Bishop says Devil Ray on a motherfucking skateboard. Goddamn right. Um, Very few and far between as far as like the teams that have actually been able to pull these off successfully. I'll add Texas Rangers to the mix as well. Angels is pretty dope, as much as I begrudgingly have to say it, considering the fact that they're a division rival with the Oakland A's. But yeah, it's not Luis says should have put a coked out tiger on it. Hell yeah. Well, more specifically, the Tigers got to allow everybody to use the coked out tiger again. That's really the bigger issue. Best of AZ says the D-backs are okay. I agree with that. I would say still top 10 for the D-backs. Maybe like, between 7 and 10, basically. Um, Flashfire then says City Connect template for most stuff. Lots of gray, lots of black, and black pants. Yeah, it's kind of bland in that regard. And so I know the Rays went with the black pants for theirs, but at the same time, the usage of all the other hyper colors that they use kind of like balances it out. I don't Yeah, actually the Rockies I will say top 10 as well. Because going with the all the details of the flag and especially going with a completely different colorway than the basic black and purple they've used for so many years, using that, forest green and white. I thought it was a good move. So good call on that one, Brother Bishop. Or sorry, official Tony. Brother Bishop then says Jay City Connect drop at the end of the month and he is scared. Ugh. Who's left? I know the A's aren't going to do one just because the fact that their management is so afraid to have anything involving Oakland at this point. Um, yeah, we got to put a list together. I'll try and do that for next week as far as like rating which ones are the best and which ones were the worst. And so, uh, dude, I can't. No, you can't say Padres are the worst because at least they thought outside the box. Dodgers are getting a new one according to Sith Jar Jar. All right, interesting. I like the Padres one. It was unique. And so uniqueness like goes a long way with that. Anyway. Moving on into sticking with baseball. Sorry. Here are the standings right now. I know there's a couple games that are going on right now. Baltimore Orioles still topping out in the American League East, followed by the Yankees, Red Sox, Rays, and Blue Jays. Blue Jays, figure your shit out. My God, I had you guys predicted to finish second in this division. You are letting me the fuck down. 7.5 games back from the top spot, but at least I was smart enough to put the Orioles on top. So one bird is correct. Thank God for that. But hopefully, the Rays continue to get some wins. Even though I've got the Rays finishing fourth, I still have the Red Sox finishing last, which still could happen. You never know. Over in the Central, Guardians still on top here, but the Twins finally having their 12-game win streak snapped, which is crazy that they were in the cellar for as long as they were. But hey, exactly how I predicted right now. If the Twins and Guardians flip-flop and the season ends, we're set. Because the way I have it predicted, Twins and Guardians, sorry, I almost said Indians. I'm looking at the Indians logo right now because it's on my magnet board. But I have them finishing 1-2, Royals in third, Detroit in fourth, Chicago White Sox, of course, in the bottom. I think I nailed this one accurately last year, which I'm pretty sure I'm going to nail again this year. But in which case, for the Guardians and the Twins, I mean, we're talking about like 2 games of separation by the end of the season is exactly how this is going to finish out. Like one's going to get a wild card spot, the other's going to win the division. So that part is the easy one to figure out there. But over in the American League West, Mariners on top by a half game on the Rangers. Oakland A's in third place, thanks to a 6-game win streak that unfortunately came to an end yesterday with a 12-3 loss against the Marlins. But Saturday's game on the other hand, 20-4 victory A's over the Marlins. So the Marlins definitely took exception to that. But it's kind of crazy, like how many series the A's have won so far this year and are already like ahead of pace of where they were last year. And I know a lot of people predict them to lose 100 plus games this year. I don't feel like it's going to happen. I had said a couple weeks ago, once I saw like the A's like really start to get some wins on the board, and once they stop playing the Guardians, because the Guardians just fucking own them, there is a potential that this A's team could replicate what the 2012 A's team did. Granted, I don't think they're going to win the division necessarily, but I think they're going to surprise a lot of people, go to the postseason, probably with a wild card spot, because at least, there's more availability for wild card spots, etc. But with this being the final year in Oakland, at least for now, on paper, all the other transactions and intangibles need to happen before they actually go to Sacramento and then potentially Vegas, which I still don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, it would be pretty dope to see the A's make the postseason. Granted, all my friends and I are not going to games, so it's been a bit of a struggle to be able to support the team from afar, but definitely not financially. Like we just can't go to the stadium and support that. John Fisher, sell the fucking team, man. Um, yeah. Flashfire says first team to score 20 this season. And it was funny because prior to that game, a lot of people were complaining about the fact that the run differential for the A's was like so great, despite how many wins they had. Well, Saturday kind of took care of most of that deficit. So there you go. Official Tony with the poor Stros. I ain't mad about it. At least they're not in dead last. Yeah, they're tied, but they have a bit of a tiebreaker over the Angels right now. So, yeah, Artie Moreno, who almost sold the team a couple years ago and then took it off the table. Artie, sell the fucking team. And Jerry Reinsdorf, especially, sell the fucking team before you die. Oh, my God. Cy Cuevas, it's official. Wemby's Rookie of the Year. Good to know. Now, the real question is Wemby Defensive Player of the Year? Because he should win that. Although, I don't know, maybe some BS is going to happen. And because he's a rookie, they're not going to give it to him. But the man definitely deserves it. So, hell of a season by Wemby. Over in the National League, Phillies topping the Braves right now, which is really kind of interesting. Nationals playing 500 ball with the Mets and the Marlins behind. The Marlins, of course, trading Arias to the Padres. They have no aspirations to win anything this year. Speaking of another team that should probably sell and get some smart people in there, of course, Kim Ng, who did a fantastic job with the Marlins last season. no longer with the team because she saw the writing on the wall the same way that Derek Jeter did, that this ownership and management of this team have no desire to win anything. And, you want to talk about teams that should probably like be relocated. Marlins being one of those teams, not the A's. My God. Best of AC says NL West second place is going to be up for grabs all year unless you're the Rockies. I agree with that. I'm going to get to that here in a sec. In the Central, Brewers and Cubs tied at the moment, followed by the Reds, Pirates, and Cardinals. Yeah, what's up with the Brewers, man? They were on a hot streak. Then they played the Rays, got in that fight, and things have gotten cold again. Get that fire back, baby. But the Dodgers doing the exact opposite of what I predicted because I still predict them to finish third in the division this year. What the fuck? I know they got the talent. I just figured like some stupid shit was going to happen. And what they're doing this year is basically how I predict them to play next year. Anyway, Padres in second, Diamondbacks in third, Giants tied for third/fourth, and the Rockies doing absolutely nothing, just like Best of AZ said. Plenty of time for some teams to kind of turn their futures around a little bit. But if the Dodgers are going to stay as productive as they are, looks like I'm taking an L on this one at season's end. Damn it. Anyway, hockey. Fuck. This game set me back a couple years. So I said I was at Grattan Casino up in Rohnert Park. The sports bar, the quote unquote sports bar at Grattan Casino didn't even have the game on at first. Like the Phillies were beating the piss out of the Giants. And so they actually ended up changing that TV once I asked them to put it on. Like, thankfully they did. The fact that we went 2 periods without any goals scored was, a lot of people complain about no scoring, not being exciting hockey. This was an exciting fucking game. Defense wins championships at the end of the day. And surprisingly, the Leafs played some pretty stellar defense for those first 2 periods. And then the fact that Ilya Samsonov was in goal for the Maple Leafs because Joseph Woll, the hero of game 5 and 6 from a goaltending perspective, injured himself in the final fucking second of game 6. So they had to put Samsonov back in. Samsonov, of course, was in goal for the first 3 games, did so poorly that they had to bench him to put Woll in. And Woll was basically just not even allowing goals. He gets injured on that final freak play in the last second of game 6. I just repeated myself, but whatever. But Samsonov played his ass off for those first 2 periods. And to the point where Nylander, who scored the goal for the Maple Leafs first in the 3rd period, this was around the 10-minute mark. Nylander, of course, for the previous 12 games, before the series started, had been like absolutely absent. And then the man's got like 4 goals in the last 3 games of the postseason, has been like basically the only offense the Leafs have had. And then a minute later, the Bruins scored due to a freak play in the top left corner. Tie it up. We go to overtime. And at that point, because the UFC fights were starting and stuff like that, and despite the fact that they were on every other fucking TV in this goddamn bar, they decided to turn the one TV I was watching over to UFC. So I had to watch the rest of the game on Google on my phone, waiting for numbers to update and stuff. And so the way I found out was the 1 for the Bruins changed to a 2 around the 18-minute mark. And it's just like, fuck, it's over. I put my phone back in my pocket and just walked out of the bar. Oh, I was fucking furious. And especially the way that goal was scored. Mitch Marner, what the fuck, dude? How the hell do you allow that to happen? Even the freak bounce that it took for that puck to go into the goal. Yeah, Flash fan, it was really the worst way possible to lose, 100%. But that is 100% Toronto Maple Leafs hockey right there. And I don't know if you guys knew this. Like, my blood is still boiling from the 2013 postseason when the Leafs had a 3-goal lead in the 3rd period of game 7, and the Bruins managed to tie the fucking thing up and win it in overtime. I don't know if you knew this part. The Leafs have not beaten the Bruins in a postseason series since 1959. Oh, so that was it. This was the fucking moment. They had it. They had it in the fucking bag. And in typical Leafs fashion, they fucking blew it. So Anyway, Flashfire says, and literally moments after the announcer was talking about putting shots on goal in overtime because a lot of them seem to be end on weird bounces. Yeah. I went back and watched the replay. It's fucking painful, man. I don't know how. I mean, 1967 was the last time the Leafs won the cup. And the fact that it's like you have not beaten this one team in the postseason since 1959 is so goddamn frustrating. Like, look at what works and what doesn't work. And I would say like the biggest thing that the Leafs need really more than anything is defense and a solid goalkeeper. Because yeah, they can keep pulling guys in and out. I mean, if they got Wall, they got Martin Jones, they got Samsonov, whatever. And Samsonov got a lot more starts during the regular season than anybody else. But Jesus, man, what happened in the days of fucking Cujo? Anyway, so Bruins move on to the second round, get to play the Florida Panthers again for a second year in a row. And of course, the Panthers were the team as an 8 seed who knocked the Bruins out last season. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Dallas Stars taking down the Golden Knights in the third period. Also a great game. I kind of saw this one coming though. I'm actually surprised it took 7 games for Dallas to put this in the bag. Like they should not have necessarily lost those first 2 games. This should have been a 6-game victory for Dallas. So thankfully they snuck the win out. I don't particularly care for the Knights. So yeah, that's my feeling on that. And then of course there was one game won for the second round. New York Rangers. I know David Kearns isn't here, but is a huge, and neither is Dino, but they're both big Rangers fans. They got the win 4-3 over the Carolina Hurricanes. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that if this is actually the Rangers season to just, dominate and win a cup. I know Justin's going to be pissed as an Islanders fan. So anyway, here's a look at the playoffs right now. So round 2 is going to start for everybody else with the exception of the Rangers and the Hurricanes. Dallas is taking on Colorado. Panthers, as I said, are going to be taking on the Bruins. Canucks versus the Oilers. The fact that in this mix, the only Canadian teams are fucking playing one another in the first round kind of blows. I would love to see a Canadian team win the cup again. Preferably not Montreal and definitely not Ottawa. So thankfully that equation is out. But the fact that the Oilers and the Canucks have to play each other, and then it goes down to 1 in the conference finals kind of blows. I wish they were on opposite ends of the spectrum on that one, but they're not. So anyway, I'm not sure where I'm feeling on this one. I'm kind of hoping Canucks just on account of the fact that they've never won a cup. I think that'd be kind of dope. So anyway, moving on into the NBA. Finally, we got it's not Luis says game 7 loss is the worst type of pain. Yes. And the fact that it happens to me and the fucking Leafs every goddamn year, sucks. Cleveland Cavaliers finally took down the Orlando Magic, so they are moving on to the conference semifinals, 106 over to 94. Paulo Banchero had a great game, as did Donovan Mitchell. As you can see by the stat line, 38 and 16 for Paulo Banchero. Amazing year he had, 39 and 9. Eric Mobley, of course, getting a double-double with 11 and 16. So how does that set up? We also had a game 1, which actually went on the same time as the Maple Leafs and Bruins game. Minnesota Timberwolves dominating or asserting their presence of authority in game 1 in Denver with the 106-99 victory over the Denver Nuggets. Anthony Edwards, 43 goddamn points. This kid is fucking special, and I love to see every second of it. This kid wants to win. I wish to God there were more players in the league who had his level of determination and desire to win, let alone the fact that he's a player who makes everybody else on his team infinitely better. So John Morant could be that kind of a guy. I felt like he was until he got injured, had his whole gun thing, whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what the Grizzlies and what John Morant do for next season. But right now, I'm on Team Edwards. Well, outside of the Pacers, but yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. So, yep, game 1 in the books for them. So the way it lines up right now, Celtics get to play the Cavaliers. I kind of feel like this is going to be a 5-game series for the Celtics. I know that's short, but I got Celtics in 5 on this one. Oklahoma City versus Dallas Mavericks. Um, there's a part of me that hope, like, I don't want to see the Thunder win a championship. That's really what it comes down to. So that's the only reason why I want the Mavericks to take the Thunder down, even though I think the Thunder are going to take the Mavericks down. I don't feel like the Mavericks are really that great outside of two players. But either way, whoever wins in the Timberwolves Nugget series is definitely going to the Western Conference Finals. Or sorry, going representing the West in the NBA Finals. I don't feel like it's going to be the Thunder or the Mavericks that are going to be representative, but I still feel like actually the Timberwolves are probably going to take down Denver. So T-Wolves in the NBA Finals, I'd love to see it. As for the Pacers and Knicks, which is going to start here in about 20 minutes, um, I've got Pacers in 6, but I could easily see this game going 7. As I was kind of talking about before, the last time the Pacers and the Knicks met in the postseason, it was the 2012-2013 season. And of course, the big moment from that was Roy Hibbert blocking Carmelo Anthony on what should have been an easy dunk for him with the Pacers down by 2. That was the game changer. Pacers won that series. Pacers went to the Eastern Conference Finals again against the Miami Heat, to which case that went 7 games and it should have been 1-6, but Roy Hibbert could not get a block on LeBron James, which would have sealed victory for Indiana. God damn it. If I remember my math correctly on this, the Pacers are 0-8 in the postseason against LeBron James. Holy fuck, that is horrible. So thankfully, the Lakers and LeBron are out of the playoff equation, which opens up the path for the possibility that the Pacers could win the NBA title this year. And it doesn't sound all that crazy because the Pacers had a winning record against the Knicks. They definitely had a winning record against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they played 500 ball against the Boston Celtics this year. Overall, for every team involved in the Eastern Conference in the postseason, the Pacers actually had the best head-to-head record against all the teams involved. So for anybody saying the Pacers being a 6 seed, they don't have a shot at the title, they do, because they could get it done during the regular season when it actually mattered. So that's kind of my call on this one. You guys can call me crazy, whatever. Best of AZ says TJ McConnell is a dog. Yes, he is. Arguably, with the exception of Peyton Pritchard in Boston, probably the best overall fundamentally based point guard coming off a bench for any team in the postseason. What him and Obi Toppin did to the Bucks in Game 6 needs to be studied, because the fact that from bench scoring perspective, 52 to what, 8? My God. And Obi and TJ accounted for at least like 45 of those points, I think it was. Incredible work by them. So top to bottom, as young as the Pacers are, they're great off the bench and they got a pretty solid starting lineup. And it's not to say that any other team doesn't, but Indiana is surprisingly good on all aspects of the course. Defense could be a little bit better, but they have had flashes of amazing defense. So it's not Luis says Celtics in 4. I feel like Cleveland's going to squeak 1 win in there. That's why I said 5. But anyway, moving on to the Premier League. This is the last thing we're going to end up in before I go to Ben's bets. Chelsea played a double dip over the last couple days. 2-0 victory over Tottenham, and then following it up with the 5-0 victory over West Ham. I know Steven Seavright was pretty stoked about this, asking, is Chelsea back? Kind of like in the same sense of, is Texas back in college football? It's kind of looking like they are. Like 7 goals scored, none allowed in 2 games. That's not too shabby. Moving on to everybody else. Everton, Luton Town with the draw. Arsenal 3-0 victory over Bournemouth. No real surprise there. Fulham and Brentford draw. The way Fulham's been playing lately, abysmal. Like they were a top 8 team for like the majority of the season. Then all of a sudden over the last like 2 months just fell apart. It's wild. Newcastle finally getting a win or a notch back in the win column with the 4-1 victory over Burnley. Nottingham Forest with a big win over Sheffield United. I'll get to that, why that's a big win here in a second. Man City, no surprise, 5-1 victory over Wolverhampton. Brighton with a 1-0 victory over Aston Villa. That is actually probably one of the more surprising victories over the weekend. especially the way that Aston Villa has been playing lately and just lighting teams up with the amount of goal scoring they've been doing. So very big surprise there. And then, of course, Tottenham taking another loss in the last like 3 days. Liverpool 4-2 over the top of Hotspur there. And then today, this afternoon, more specifically, Crystal Palace just scoring goals like crazy. 4-0 victory over Man United. What the fuck? But anyway, how this impacts everything. Arsenal at the top spot, but Man City has a game in hand, only backed by 1 point. Liverpool, Aston Villa follow. So there's all, I mean, Tottenham still has a game in hand and mathematically could still finish in the top 4 spot. But of course, a victory by Aston Villa or a loss by Tottenham in their next game, and it's over. Here's your top 4 victory. These are the teams that, of course, will be playing in Champions League over the next season. In the 5 spot, so Tottenham, 6 spot, Newcastle, Chelsea, all the way up to 7, and still mathematically having only played 35 games, 3 to go, could still actually finish in the top 5. The way that Tottenham's been playing, and especially the way that Newcastle's been playing, despite their 4-1 victory, if Chelsea somehow pulls this off and finishes top 5, miracle. Because there were points in time during the season where I think Chelsea got as far as like 12, like enough games, like 10 plus games in the season. So their turnaround over like the last couple months has been spectacular. And if they play the way they've played over the last 2 months, next season, back in the top 4, baby. Man United tied in the 8th spot with 54 points as well. But of course, based on goal differential, Chelsea's got the edge. West Ham at 9, Bournemouth at 10. And like I said, Fulham just fading down to the 13th spot. Ahead of them, Brighton and Wolverhampton. Crystal Palace at 14. Everton 15. Brentford 16. Nottingham Forest at the 17th spot. Now, Everton's in a great shape right now, even with their 10-point deduction, which actually would put them at 47 points in the top 11 spot. They are going to avoid relegation this season, which is great. However, Sheffield United, done. But Burnley, Luton Town, and Nottingham Forest, all in kind of very peculiar situation. That is not decided yet, although Burnley is most likely to get relegated. Because if Nottingham Forest or Luton Town get a win in their next game, they're getting relegated for sure. Burnley is getting relegated. So yeah, the next couple weeks of soccer are going to be relatively interesting in regard to the relegation scale. Wow, I got really ahead of myself there. Dang, I thought I was running short on time, but I'm not. I'm 6 minutes ahead. My lock of the week from the previous time I did recap, I nailed. It was Panthers over the Lightning. Of course, the Panthers won that series. The Pelicans, 0 wins versus the Thunder. Well, that sucked. So that's a miss. My prediction of Crystal Palace at plus 175 money line over Newcastle, that cashed in. But the Kansas City Royals did not beat the Tigers on April 27th. So I went 2-2 the previous time I did this show, which brings us to this week. I've got Celtics over the Cavaliers tomorrow. Take the money line minus 600. Maybe not put $20,000 on it just to win like $50. I think that's asinine, but there's going to be some gamblers out there that are going to do it. And if the Cavs win, tough shit for you. Panthers versus the Bruins in game 1 of their series. I got the Panthers. I got the Panthers winning that series. I mean, just because they did it as an 8 seed last year, they should not have been an 8 seed. They were a much better team than what was on paper. It was just a really awkward season for them, a lot of injuries. And so the Panthers are back. I'm going to take down the Bruins again 2 years in a row. Dodgers versus the Marlins. This is Wednesday's game. The Marlins have basically just flat out given up on the season, so the Dodgers have not. So I don't see any reason why the Dodgers would lose this game. But crazier things have happened. But the game is at Dodger Stadium, so I feel like the Dodgers got this one in the bag. And then, of course, Sunday, Arsenal versus Man United. That's going to be a big game, to which case I've got Arsenal winning this one, which isn't necessarily going to guarantee anything other than 3 points and still have a bit of an edge over Man City. But like I said, Man City's got a game in hand, 3 to go. They got an easy game this weekend, to which case they should win. Let me look at this real quick. Since I got time, baby. I got time. Man, I was not expecting to finish like so far ahead of pace that I was. So hold on one sec. Man City, who y'all got left to play? All right. So, Man City's playing Fulham. I mean, if there's a point in time where Fulham wants to redeem their entire season, it's this fucking Saturday against Man City. And then after that, Tottenham on Tuesday, May 14th, and then Sunday, May 19th, West Ham. I mean, realistically, I would say Man City is going to win all three. But there is a possibility that somebody's going to want to play spoiler. I would figure if it's going to be any one of those teams, it's probably going to be Fulham. I'm not putting that on my parlay of the week or my lock of the week, but I would say of those three games, Fulham's going to be the team to do it. And then let's see, Arsenal. What you got? Arsenal's last two games. So Man United this weekend, of course. And then their final game against Everton on Sunday, May 19th. That should be a victory. So depending on what happens this weekend with Man City and Arsenal for that matter against Man United, is really going to turn this bit of not relegation, bit of top of the table work into an interesting point. Liverpool being 4 points back behind Man City is definitely going to finish in third place. Aston Villa just basically needs. Aston Villa actually needs, like I said, Aston Villa needs to win, or Tottenham has to lose a game for them to stick in the 4th spot. I mean, they can get 2 draws, whatever, get 2 points out of it, but the easier path is definitely to win and get the 3 points and stay clear of Tottenham right now. But yeah, Arsenal only having a point lead on Man City. I mean, the same thing basically happened last season. Came down like the final 3 games, and then Man City just kind of took over at that point. So I don't know, man. It'll be interesting. It's kind of a bummer that the last game of the season isn't Arsenal versus Man City, because I would have felt like that would be like more poetry in motion. But that's the schedule. So anyway, guys, even though we got 2 minutes left, I feel like it's a good time to wrap up. I'm probably gonna get a beer in my system before this Pacer Knicks game starts up. Even though the game is at the Garden, Reggie Miller is going to be there for game 2. So I am guaranteeing victory for the Pacers in game 2. I don't know how this is going to go for game 1. As long as the Pacers and company shoot the lights out like they did in their series against Milwaukee, with the exception of game 5, which was an absolute travesty. Really what it comes down to for the Pacers, I'm gonna throw some X's and O's up here and be the coach for a second. Because I was very vocal about this on Twitter. The Pacers need to not necessarily rely upon 3-pointers to win the game. As they discovered with the Bucks were weak in the perimeter, or not in the perimeter, in the post. And all you got to do is feed the rock, get some fouls on the inside, drive into the basket, avoid the charges, get those blocking calls, get those shooting fouls, etc. You can win the game at the free throw line. Pascal Siakam, I'm looking at you especially because you miss a lot of free throws. You got to be clutch, baby. And for the most part, that's it. I mean, rebound. My biggest pet peeve of anything having to do with the NBA, it's not the 3-point shooting. It's not the lack of an inside offense, anything. My biggest pet peeve with the NBA is that there are no rebounders in the league who play with the tenacity and the skill that Dennis Rodman did. Like, anybody who grew up when Dennis Rodman was playing in the National Basketball Association, you should feel blessed, because my God, that ball and that man were connected. Nobody has been able to track a ball coming off of the iron the way that Dennis Rodman did. And that is why that man is a bona fide Hall of Famer and a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. So that's all I'll say on that. Rebounds are going to win the game. Free throws are going to win the game. And whoever can attack the paint the best, it's not necessarily going to be 3-point shooting. That's just a cherry on top. So anyway, guys, appreciate you tuning in. We are going to do recap tomorrow, as in Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 or sorry, 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern time. I forgot to mention at the top of the show, if you don't catch us live, you can catch us on YouTube, hat-club. Subscribe to us. Doesn't cost anything. It's just a fancy word for following us. Give us some likes if you like the content you're seeing. As always, love you guys. Peace. And as always, take it easy. And if you don't, take it sleazy. See you guys.